We have another group, which Mark can talk to here, called evangelism. It's a kind of a, not a lot of companies have this. Long before I was at SGI and 3DFX and NVIDIA, I was actually at Apple. And Apple was one of the first hardware companies to kind of invent this group called evangelism. And it's this go-between between the engineers at NVIDIA and the engineers at the developers. We'll let Mark talk to him because that's his job.
Like Tony said, I mean, I'm very thankful to have this job. As a gamer and growing up with games, the opportunity to interface with all manner of game developers it's a blast. Every day I come to work with a smile on my face. So, as Tony said, the key goal of this job as an evangelist is to help facilitate communication between NVIDIA and the developer, focused primarily on the technical aspects. We do this by talking with developers all the time, every day, meeting them face to face whenever and as often as possible. As part of this, excuse me, we work with developers from all different areas, whether it be guys like Valve or Blizzard, who are names you recognize, to very small guys like Jonathan Blow, creator of Braid, or developers that are four-man teams that are developing new games. At the end of the day, what we care about is if you're doing cool and interesting and exciting things, we want to be part of that. So, as you can expect from an evangelist, I spend quite a bit of time actually talking about NVIDIA technologies, and this ranges from everything from GF100 to talking about physics or GeForce 3D vision, also talking about our tools. But the other aspect is I actually spend the majority of my time in this job actually listening to developers. And I think we all can agree that game development is extremely difficult. It's interactive, real-time, 3D, networked. What am I missing here? Has to look good, and guess what? It has to be fun, and for the most part, it has to ship before Christmas. That's not an easy thing. So what I do is I spend a lot of my time when I meet with developers, talking with them and really trying to understand what challenges they have with regards to game development. And it would particularly focus on areas where NVIDIA might be able to help. So the next thing I'd like to talk about is one of the ways that we sort of collaborate with developers. You've seen recently quite a few different games at GPU Physics Effects, and I'd like to walk you through one of the ways that we collaborate with developers. This is actually probably the best part of my job. Developers will oftentimes invite us to sit down early in the development cycle, typically when they're in the prototype phase, sit down and ask us, what graphics effects, what physics effects, what do you think games are going to look like, 2 to 3 years from now, right? So typically they'll give us a little presentation about what they want to do with their game, what their game is like, what the environments look like. And sometimes, most times actually, they provide us with the prototype build. And the goal of this is to sit down, play through the game, and usually we take about a week to do that, and think up and come up with different ideas that we could share with the developer that might fit into their vision of the game. So what we do is we spend a week, play the game, develop what we call a TDD, which is a document, and these things range typically around 30 pages long. Screenshots, videos, and examples from other games or from demos that Ashu and team have developed. What we do is we sit down with the developer, we present this TDD to them so they can get an idea of things that we're working on or ideas that they might be able to leverage. And then we have a brainstorming session. We get on the whiteboard and talk about, you want to do this, you want to do destruction, you want to do fluids, and try to figure out and come up with a plan on areas where we can help work directly together to either prototype some new effects, ultimately to help improve the PC experience.
Yeah, so one of the things Mark didn't say that, a lot of these guys are, they're pretty hardcore gamers. I'd put Mark up against pretty much anyone in any first-person shooter. He's spooky good. Part of his job is, literally, he said, we get a build in and you play the game for like a week. What would make the game better? That's all he's really figuring out. Could be, a visual effect here, something here. What would make the game more fun? What would make the game better? That's their job.
I mean, one of the other things too I do is I ask a question very often to developers, and I say, on your last game, what is it that you wanted to do that you couldn't, either because of time or because of resources? And you know, it's a great discussion because at the end of the day, what we're all about is we're trying to make the game better, but we're not trying to force anybody to do anything they want to do. It's the developer's game. We want to help them achieve their ultimate vision.
Does anybody have any questions on that process? It's a fun job. There's no doubt about it.
Thanks.
So a lot of people have had, I think there's been some misconceptions about the way it's meant to be played program. What is it, what is it not? I mean, it is true that it's a logo program. And essentially, what it means is that we've worked with the developer in some meaningful way. The game either it runs well, it's differentiated, it has some cool stuff. It's just an indication of collaboration between NVIDIA, the developer, and publisher. What we want it to mean is if you see that on the box, you're going to have a good experience on NVIDIA. That's what it means. It is not a we paid any money kind of a thing. It's a we work with the developer or publisher thing. I mean, and the money that we spend is time and energy. You know, it's people time. It's effort. That's our investment. We're trying to make the games better, and that investment we hope people appreciate. They feel like they get a better experience with the game, and hopefully they feel like they get a better experience on NVIDIA. That's what the way it's going to be played program is. It is not a here's a bajillion dollars to put our logo on a box or something like that. That's not what the way it's